This compilation of footage was shot in the winter months of 1972 and early 1973 by Kirkwood, Missouri-based cinematographer Axtell Kramer. Let's go back to the colorful era of early Amtrak and have a glimpse of a few Midwestern railroads before they disappeared in the industry-wide merger wave that took place in the late 1970s. It's Thanksgiving Day, 1972. That's Amtrak's National Limited, eastbound from Kansas City, bound for New York with 2 through sleepers from Los Angeles, making the station stop in Kirkwood, Missouri. On today's train, the Missouri Pacific's business car number 1 has hitched a ride on the rear. At the Thebes Bridge, we see a freight train on the SP Cotton Belt crossing the Mississippi from Ilmo, Missouri into Illinois. Next is the 3 months post-merger Illinois Central Gulf Railroad freight train northbound out of Tams, Illinois on the X narrow gauge line to East St. Louis. The locomotives are still wearing their pre-merger Gulf Mobile and Ohio black and white paint scheme, with GP30 number 514 at the lead. Behind it are GP35s pulling hard. At the yard in Bloomington, Illinois, we see the GM&O's RS1 number 50 at work on a particularly cold December day. Working west out of Bloomington on the Jack Line, an extra freight headed up by GM&O covered wagon F3As. 4 months after the merger, we can still find locomotives of Illinois Central Gulf Railroad in their pre-merger GM&O paint schemes. In Springfield, Illinois, on the northeast side of town, Illinois Terminal Diesels patiently go about their switching duties at the south end of the IT yards adjacent to East Carpenter Street. Notice the blue and silver interurban car body. Sperry Rail Detector Car number 118, formerly Doodlebug 6004 of the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad, passes the camera in the Missouri Pacific Yards in Dupont, Illinois. From trackside at Lawndale, Illinois, we see Amtrak's Prairie State headed southward to St. Louis and the Abraham Lincoln on the return trip heading north to Chicago and Milwaukee. In Springfield, Illinois, the Chicago and Illinois Midland is handling coal hoppers bound for a Commonwealth Edison power plant. 2 SD9s, a switcher, and a rare engine, C and IM number 30, one of only 2 EMD RS 1325 models that were ever built. Following close behind is an ICG switcher with an interchange transfer out of Ridgely Yard. The Illinois Central Gulf now owns the railroad, but the diesels on this extra at Mitchell, Illinois are pure GM&O. The trailing engine of this pair, number 880A, had a long career, going on to serve commuters in Boston and New York City well into the 21st century. Heading northward out of Venice Yard, we see an Illinois Central Gulf freight train with a pair of GP9 diesels and a GM&O GP30. Venice Yard is tended by a pair of Alco S2s, Gulf Mobile and Ohio 1002 and 23. Heading south to New Orleans for a spring break vacation in March 1973, Kramer took a side trip to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, to photograph Kansas City Southern freight trains on the massive Mississippi River Bridge. Getting these shots required standing in a swampy area among snakes and alligators. In New Orleans, Kramer captured footage of the St. Charles Line streetcars at the end of the line at the corner of Carrollton and Claiborne Avenues, and running along St. Charles Avenue. Here, cars are seen coming around the tight curve at Carrollton and St. Charles Avenues. Amtrak's Sunset Limited, running westbound out of New Orleans, is caught passing West Tower in New Iberia, Louisiana, on the Southern Pacific Main. Today's train features former Santa Fe El Capitan high-level coach cars and diner on the rear. Further west across the Texas border, we find a westbound SP freight. In Dayton, Texas, near Houston, a set of Baltimore and Ohio diesels are much out of place. These are followed by an eastbound SP freight picking up orders. From across the tracks, we see another SP freight eastbound getting orders on the fly. This train is followed by Amtrak's eastbound Sunset Limited, making a stop at this unlikely station. From the big curve just east of Labadie, Missouri, we get to take a look at a few Mopac trains. Here's a coal train headed to the Union Electric facility north of Labadie. A westbound Mopac freight crosses Geyer Road in Kirkwood, Missouri. Here the Kirkwood local is seen backing up through western Webster Groves near Lockwood Avenue. Next, a Mopac eastbound freight loaded with GM automobiles is seen at the same location. Still in Kirkwood, the Frisco heads west after passing the Geyer Road Big Bend intersection. A GM&O eastbound detours on the Mopac just east of Pacific due to Mississippi flooding. Here's the Frisco again, running fast eastbound in Pacific. Seen from the Ballas Road Bridge in Kirkwood, looking east, Amtrak's eastbound National Limited slows as it approaches its Kirkwood, Missouri station stop. Near Holmes Avenue and in Webster Groves, Mopac freights are spotted at work. Still wearing the livery of its predecessor railroad, an Illinois Central Gulf train is seen with red and maroon F3s on the point. GM&O's 807A, 811A, and 803A heading north on the St. Louis to Chicago main. From trackside in Ottawa, Illinois, we see the morning Peoria and Quad Cities Rockets on their way to Chicago. Operating independently of Amtrak until their discontinuance in 1978, the two rocket trains provided a single daily round trip to Chicago from Peoria and Rock Island, Illinois. One of Kramer's preferred train watching locations in the Chicago area was the trackage around the passenger station in Joliet, Illinois, a Union station that served both the Rock Island and Santa Fe railroads. The Chicago, Rock Island, and Pacific ran frequent commuter service to Chicago from Joliet using push-pull equipment. Not far from the station, we encounter a Santa Fe freight train being pulled by a lash-up of gleaming General Motors F7 locomotives that formerly pulled passenger trains. On the Rock Island, we see another freight train being pulled by ex-passenger locomotives. These are General Motors E8s. These were purchased from the Union Pacific in 1969 and still wear the armor yellow paint of their former owner. Fast freights frequently ran past the station on the bumpy, sunken rails. Amtrak's Hiawatha and Chief trains had consists made up of inherited equipment. Several years would pass before everything was repainted platinum mist. Coming in from the west over the Joliet lift bridge, we see the Chicago-bound morning Rock Island rockets. The Peoria rocket featured the Polar car, the Reveler. About 30 minutes later, it's followed by the Quad Cities rocket with its dome car, Big Ben. Not wanting to join Amtrak, the Rock Island partnered with Butterworth Tours to operate the rockets independently until abandonment in the late 1970s. Heading over to Michigan City, Indiana, we visit the Chicago South Shore and South Bend shops just in time to see a pair of the rebuilt ex-New York Central 3,000 horsepower electric locomotives switching a coal train. A trio of former Chesapeake and Ohio GP7 locomotives head east with a trainload of coal. A two-car passenger train, led by Car 107, a Pullman product built in 1926, exits the yard westbound. At the rail yard in Streator, Illinois, the Amtrak's combined El Capitan and Super Chief train is marshaled by a pair of Santa Fe GM F45 freight engines. The third engine, an F7B, has a steam generator for providing heating and steam-powered air conditioning. Today's train features a couple of 44-seat coaches on the head end. The first-class section is on the rear. We hope that you've enjoyed this trip back to 1973 by way of the talents of photographer F. Axtell Kramer. This has been a production of the National Railway Historical Society, continuing its mission of archiving and preserving rail history. To learn more and support our work, please visit nrhs.com. This is Bernie Wagenblast. Thanks for watching.